I love Mario Odyssey. I've played it twice already and plan on playing it for a third time in the near future. Mario Odyssey released almost 6 years ago and was definitely a breath of fresh air within the Mario franchise. Since its release, there hasn't really been any mainstream Mario games where Mario saves Peach. Sure, there's been Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe and Super Mario 3D All-Stars, but those are just remakes and remasters of existing games. And considering how we're already seeing the release of the sequel of Breath of the Wild, which only released a few months before Mario Odyssey, it's safe to assume that a sequel of Mario Odyssey is inevitable. Super Mario Odyssey is Nintendo's highest selling 3D Mario game, coming in at about 25.12 million copies, and when comparing that to the second best selling 3D Mario game, which is Super Mario 3D World, which spans over 2 platforms, that comes in at about 16.7 million copies. I personally loved Mario Odyssey. I milked as much content out of the game that I could before getting bored. I had over 600 moons collected, got the quote-unquote true ending, and was collecting as many outfits as I could. Odyssey was a breath of fresh air for the Mario franchise, departing from the usual side-scrolling platformer, as well as departing from the linear times levels and allowing for more freedom for the player. I mean, this open world was so fun. It was almost comforting at times. The game reinvented the formula that previous Mario games was based on and threw more into the mix, and definitely left players satisfied with the game considering the Metacritic score of 97. So what made Mario Odyssey so good? For me, and for a lot of others, it was the new mechanics introduced into the game. I mean, sure, the story was very generic, as are all Mario games, but the open world, the different abilities you can get as Mario by capturing different creatures, enemies, and objects with Cappy, and just the overall environment of the game. Utilizing the capturing mechanics really added an awesome dynamic to the gameplay of the game, which meant that the progression of the game was never repetitive. Rather, it was very creative with its progression. I remember flying around as that weird yellow dinosaur thing, shooting at enemies as literal tank, gliding across water as some blob, going on a rampage as a massive T-Rex, jumping super high in the sky as a frog, and just so much more. Odyssey was really creative in making different gameplay mechanics for players to enjoy, and I think another thing that I just loved about Odyssey was the environment and characters. Aside from the usual Mario, Peach, and Bowser, we now have Cappy as part of the crew, and after getting that final ending, you see the relationship with Mario and Cappy grow, and the blossoming of that wholesome friendship. Something that I think Odyssey does really well are boss fights. Other than the Broodals, those 4 bunny rabbits that you fight, I'd say that Odyssey's boss fights are pretty creative, utilizing tanks to take down a giant caterpillar, capturing your opponent's fists to then punch them in the face, and the dragon boss fight was just so much fun. Now, I don't have any other games to compare it to because I haven't played any other 3D Mario game, but the game mechanics in Odyssey's boss fights really enhanced my experience when playing the game. And when looking at gameplay of these other games, like Super Mario 3D World, it looks like they drew elements from these boss fights and expanded upon it with Odyssey's mechanics to try to create an innovative boss fight. My only complaint of the boss fight is that the Broodals were too repetitive as bosses. I think that a sequel to Mario Odyssey would definitely be a launch title for the new Switch, and would definitely maintain the core foundations that made Odyssey so enjoyable, but they would also expand upon it. I'm expecting new lands to traverse, new terrains and mechanics within these areas to make the game harder, yet not taking away from its fun. I'm looking forward to hopefully seeing a bunch of different captures to take over with more fun and unique mechanics. Something that I'm hoping to see is the more quote-unquote classic Mario. What I mean by that is the more linear sections of Mario that were in basically every previous game. Don't get me wrong, I love the free roam elements of Odyssey, and Odyssey made these touches of these linear elements with the secret moons to find the rockets and in pipes, kind of like shrines in Breath of the Wild, but I'm hoping to see more of that to kind of make that quote-unquote perfect Mario game. One that has balance of freedom in an open world, but still pays homage to the traditional style of Mario games by having linear sections. Now, contradictory to what I just said, something else that I would absolutely love to see is a massive open world, similar to that of games like Breath of the Wild, GTA, Just Cause 3, and the likes. I think that the best way I can merge my two expectations or hopes for the game would be to compare it to Hogwarts Legacy. I've been playing heaps of Hogwarts Legacy, exploring as much as I can, finding different creatures, enemies, and spells, upgrading my broom, and all that. Now, where am I getting, you might ask? Well, Hogwarts Legacy has pretty large, but still linear areas in its story. Caves to explore to further progress the story, being guided through them in a linear fashion, yet still having that open world to return to. I'm hoping to see something like that in a sequel to Mario Odyssey. Not so much that it's overwhelming, but enough to make the game a bit more challenging for a more fun experience. At its core, Mario games are kids games, so something really small that I hope would be implemented is a difficulty selection. Mario Odyssey was ridiculously easy for my first time playing it. It was still extremely fun, but I feel like it could have been a bit more challenging. So for this possible sequel, I'm hoping for the game to have difficulty selection, so any experienced players won't finish the game in just a few days, and they can take their time with it and really enjoy it. Anyways, thank you so much for watching this far. If you enjoyed the video, do consider dropping a like and subscribing to see more content like this. Anyways guys, I'll see you in the comment section of the next video. Peace.